Howdy folks, and welcome to my 9,000 mile review of the Givi EA103 Easy-T 40-liter tank bag on my 2018 Moto Guzzi V7III Stone. If you've looked at my channel in the past, I had used a Givi tank bag, the XS308, on my Ducati Multistrada, and I really loved that product. It was such a great tank bag. It was one of their tank lock tank bags, which means there was a ring that went around the tank lid that was installed, and you could mount and dismount that bag really easily from there. It helped the bag be sturdy. It was quite rigid. It was super functional. It was a great bag. I loved that bag. And so when I traded in my Multistrada, my Ducati Multistrada, for this Moto Guzzi, and I was gonna look at luggage. I was completely set on keeping that bag until I realized I didn't research one critical thing, and that was I didn't research if the tank lock system also works with Moto Guzzi. And guess what? It didn't. I was completely heartbroken. But, in the spirit of camaraderie with motorcyclists, I gave my tank bag to the dealer. I said, hey, for the next guy, this is a great tank bag. And I went out and bought this product, thinking, hey, it's another Givi tank bag. It should work just as well. But it had to be obviously mounted differently, and I ended up going with the magnet mount. I went with a magnetic bag because I didn't want to deal with straps. I thought straps might scratch up the tank, and I just wasn't a fan of that concept, but I thought that the magnets should do okay, and so I went with this 103B model. And I will tell you, after 9,000 miles of use, it's a very good tank bag, but I'm not in love with it. And I'll dive into the strengths and weaknesses here to help you build your own opinion if you want to go that route. First of all, if you're looking for a high-capacity tank bag, this is the route to go. Particularly if you're looking high capacity magnetic tank bag, this is your option. This thing will take 40 liters, and it will take practically everything that you want to take along with it. If you don't have room for it, then you probably really don't need it in this tank bag. The other thing that's really cool about this, it's a very flexible tank bag, and I'll demonstrate this here shortly as well. So overall, a good product, but like I said, I'm not completely in love with it. But let's talk about the good points of it first. So capacity, like I mentioned, 40 liters, great storage compartment solutions, because there is actually two main compartments. There is the large main compartment, which is right here, and then there's another smaller compartment in this upper module right here, and there's also compartments on the side. While on the XS308, these were actually, you could take them off and kind of wear them like a fanny pack. In this case, these two compartments are attached to the bag permanently. And while on the 308, you had a little pocket here on that fanny pack here in this area that you could put your wallet or credit cards in, or anything like that. In this case, you don't have that separate bag, but there's a little slit where you can slide something in there. For example, you could slide a cell phone down into there if you weren't carrying it on top or on a handlebar mount. So by design, pretty decent. You have on this top area a smart pocket. I actually like to use it for maps, but this is also touchscreen compatible as long as you're using your fingers. Touchscreen compatible as well for your GPS or for a phone that you might carry underneath. But the biggest party trick of this bag is its modularity. It is actually made up of 3 pieces. So let me showcase that here real quick. So the way this works is actually these components zip up into each other. So I'm gonna go unzip this. It's a little fiddly, so please bear with me, but here we go. Voila! Top module right here, very nice. Comes off. By the way, the compartments have these little handy things where you could strap mount them if you wanted to, or you could carry them as a bag on your side, or even as a backpack, and the straps come included with that. So that's part number 1. Here's the main compartment, and to your potential delight, even the main compartment has one of those smart pockets where you can stick a map or your GPS or whatever you're carrying with you as well. So very cool. Not only the functionality in the top level, but also in the core level here as well. And since we're not done with party tricks, you can do the zipperoo thing as well for this main compartment area. So let me do that here real quick, and sorry that if there's stuff in the way in your view. You try to do this real quick. And the main compartment is actually the one that's tied down the straps to the handlebar. And so, you know, usual straps that you see on Givi bags, I think nothing special. You can untie these or unclip these, pull them out, and voila, you end up with a center compartment. And looky there. The bottom layer of this tank bag, which is the part that actually has the magnets that's attached to it, has a clear smart pocket to it as well. So once again, you can stick your GPS or your phone in there, or a map. So if you just want to carry a map or some documents or whatever, GPS, the phone, whatever you like on the tank without having all this weight and the bulk of the tank bags, you can do that as well. Very, very cool. And this party trick gets even cooler because this is modular. What you can do is you can take your top level, you can take it to your bottom layer, and here it gets a little bit fiddly, so please bear with me. This is one of the drawbacks, that while this is super well thought out, it is a little bit fiddly to install, but it is worth it. Because after you zip this up, voila, you all of a sudden have a smaller tank bag. I believe this thing is about 15 liters, and I think this one is like 25 altogether, but you end up with potentially a smaller tank bag. In this case, because it's smaller, it doesn't need to have the straps. This is really, really convenient. And so, very cool. You can either have a huge tank bag, you can have a middle huge tank bag, or you can have a small to mid-sized tank bag if you like, or if you just want a map pocket or smart pocket, you can do that as well. Very, very cool. Now, let's talk about some other features or drawbacks of this. One other feature that I really like about its modularity is the fact that, you know, since all this stuff zips into each other, let me just set it up here for right now, is that even if you ride with this whole whole assembly, and you get somewhere where you just need to run inside to the store or something like that, I actually like to carry my wallet, my documents, my electronics, everything else in this top pocket, and all I do is I unzip this piece, and I leave this on the bike. So my water or whatever's in here, if somebody has to run off with that, well, more power to you, bud. Give me a headache, but at least I didn't lose anything important, because the important stuff can travel with me to the inside of the store or wherever I'm going, and doesn't have to stay on the bike. So I think that is a really, really cool feature. Obviously, the other really cool feature about this is capacity and flexibility. So what you see here is the main compartment is actually extended. You see here's a zipper. This is actually the extension zipper. But let me show you how huge this thing really is in real life. So on the inside of this, I'm carrying right now two 40-ounce bottles from Hydro Flask that fit no problem. Let me go set them up over here. Hopefully they won't fall. A water bottle, just in case I'll need more water. And what is a 10 by 7 by 5 postage box that can go in there. And I had plenty of room to spare. Now if I don't want to make this huge, I can zip this center compartment down, make it a little shorter, and my Hydro Flasks and my water bottle still fits in there with room to spare and then some. Very cool. Lots of capacity. I mean, if you need to carry the tank bag, I have a full luggage set up on my bike, but if you don't want to have all that stuff, you really just want to have a tank bag, then this tank bag gives you lots and lots of options to carry a lot of things. Even in the top compartment, you have plenty of space. Those two Hydro Flask bottles will fit in here, no problem at all. As will all kinds of other stuff. Air pump, trauma packs, gloves, first aid kit. I mean, you name it. Like I said, I think it's 15 liters up here on top, and it's quite square. It's very functional. It works really, really well. Let me tell you about something that I don't particularly care for in this bag, and that is its rain case. So you have lots of modularity and flexibility in this bag, but this rain cover is like a one-sizer, right? Really nice to have a way to size this up and down, you know, just in case if you just carry the bottom piece and you don't carry the middle piece. Nope. It is designed to sit on here in its fully extended fashion. And so let me do this here really quickly. I don't even know if I lined this up correctly. Probably didn't. But that's another great example of another drawback of this thing. Anyway, long story short, as you see, it kind of sits on there quite loose. And yeah, you can tighten it down over here. But it's a little floppy. I've used it, you know, it's functional. It keeps stuff dry. You can see through here. I don't know if the touchscreen works that well. I didn't try that out. Through that case, I think I actually put it sideways. I think it's supposed to be like this. Well, maybe it looks a little bit better, but still, you know, quite floppy when you look at the size underneath and how much gap I have. So, not really thrilled with the execution of this rain cover, but you know, maybe it's not that hugely important. What is important though is stability of this tank bag, and that's where the second drawback is. So, while the flexibility of this thing is really cool, and the fact that you can zip stuff in, zip stuff out is really neat, the drawback of this is that these layers, each one of them on the bottom, as you can see here, and on the top, is obviously by design not rigid. And this is, you know, quite soft and flexible as well, since it's supposed to fit over anything that might be on your tank that might be uneven. And so what that means is when you ride this thing, and let me just set them up here for right now, and let's say you still have some weight up here on top, this whole thing will internally slide. Now it will not disconnect, but it will slide. If you have wind coming, strong wind from the side, this thing will slide. And so what you end up happening is that this tank bag, let me hop on here real quick. This tank bag doesn't necessarily sit perfectly flush and straight like this, straight up. But over time, this bag will start doing this, or start doing this while you're riding, and it gets really annoying. Because after a while, if you didn't pack it just right, and if you didn't tighten up just right, and you didn't really mess with the way you aligned these individual components inside these bags, they will start shifting on you. And you're going to have a bag that kind of hangs off to the side, and obviously that pulls your bike. It bothers you visually because things all of a sudden don't line up anymore. That's a real drawback of this bag. You know, I learned to deal with it, but on longer rides, I do find it annoying. Another drawback that I see is while on the 308, there was a way to lock these with a little lock, like a luggage lock. On these, you know, theoretically, you could lock them up here on these little rings, but you know what? I can stretch this far enough to really get into there and start messing with it, or just cut the stuff off. So the safety factor that I really liked on the 308 that was included in the zippers is not present here neither. And then the third thing that I find kind of annoying is this little pocket right here, that little gap. I think it's a really cool idea, right? It was like, hey, it's kind of hidden, you know, you can kind of stick it in there, you can keep your wallet or whatever. Well, guess what? If you have this thing loaded up, then this, once you pull whatever you have in here out, everything that's inside will just collapse down. And you're going to have a hell of a time sticking this back in there. Now, if it's a thin item like this phone, you know what, it's doable. But if it's a wallet that's a little thicker, guess what? This thing ain't going back in there. You're going to have to unzip all this stuff, open this up, reorganize things, open up a gap, stick your wallet in there, annoying, you know. And obviously, as you're traveling with your bike, you don't want things that are annoying. Now, another thing that some of you all might find annoying is the height of this thing, right? It's a big tank bag. And so by virtue, it is going to cover your dashboard. On this bike, it doesn't really bother me this much. If I keep the main compartment in its shortened version, So not at full capacity, but say 3/4 of capacity. And I'm on the controls. I can still see the controls. I can see my dashboard. That's fine. But if it's fully extended and sticks out all the way, yeah, I lose my at least half of my dashboard in my line of sight. And so obviously that's inconvenient as well. And the third thing that I learned the hard way was that you gotta be really careful with magnetic tank bags. So at some point in time on one of my trips, I did this very unsmart thing, and I set this bag down, and it tipped over. And these magnets are actually really awesome. So they are very strong, which means even if the bag kind of tilts to the side, the bag is not going to flip off the bike. That's good, but they will attract anything and everything. And so I didn't realize it. That once the bag tipped over, I picked it back up real quickly. I didn't think about it. I mounted this thing on there. I rode on the bike, and guess what? These magnets picked up some little stones or something, and I scratched the heck out of my tank on the other side. Well, I mean, the bike's to be used, so I expect to have scratches on it. But still, that wasn't really the optimal solution. So now every single time I try to mount this, I go in there and I open this up, and I go and clean the magnets up. So in terms of use, not as good as the tank lock solution, not as convenient in terms of stability, not as good, not as convenient as the tank lock solution. Yes, I love the capacity of it. Yes, these little side things are really convenient. You can put tools or something like that in there really nicely. That's cool. I think the idea of this slot was probably a good idea on paper, but in practice it's not really that great. I love the flexibility of this bag. I love the size of the media pockets, the fact that there's 3 of them. Indoor map pockets, there's 3 of them. Reflectivity, by the way, is good too for safety. This whole bag, the vibe it gives me, it was such a cool thing on paper, and I was so excited about it. But once you actually use it, it's just good. It's not bad by any stretch of imagination. It's not bad. I still would recommend it if you're looking for a large tank bag. But in the actual execution and practical use of it, it's not wonderful. And I think the rain cover is a great example of that, where, a little bit more engineering could have gone into this. Maybe it would cost a couple extra bucks. I would have gladly paid for that to have a little bit better functionality in this bag. But once again, not a bad bag. If you're looking for a large capacity magnetic tank bag, I think you should take a look at this bag. It works quite well. It doesn't work great. I hope you all find this useful. This was my review of I hope I get this right, Givi EA103B Easy-T magnetic tank bag, or 40-liter magnetic tank bag on my 2018 Moto Guzzi V7III Stone. If you like this review, you found this informative, I appreciate a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content like this, I appreciate you all subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.